Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And at the end of this video, I'd like to talk about a community poll that I have on my channel. So stick around for that, for an explanation at the end of the video. And if you haven't participated in that, you can do that. And if you already did, well, stick around. So Congressional committee calls for a moratorium on the Facebook's Libra project. So the backlash against Facebook's Libra project has begun. The House of Representatives Committee on Financial Services has written to Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and the chief executive of Calibra, David Marcus, asking for a moratorium on the development of both Libra coin itself and Facebook's bespoke wallet Calibra, or Calibra, I don't know. It appears that these products may lend themselves to an entirely new global financial system that is based out of Switzerland and intended to rival the U.S. monetary policy and the dollar, the community says. This raises serious privacy, trading, national security, and monetary policy concerns for not only Facebook's over 2 billion users, but also for investors, consumers, and the broader global economy. Ooh, they don't like this. Bitcoin's fine, but Facebook, ooh, they're not liking this. So the committee's concerns are both specific and far-reaching. They highlight the opaque nature of both Libra and Calibra, the lack of regulatory oversight, and Facebook's awful record on security and data protection. That much I could agree with. While Facebook has published a white paper on these projects, the scant information provided in the intent, roles, potential use, and security of Libra and Calibra exposes the massive scale of risks and lack of clear regulatory protections. And if products and services like these are left improperly regulated without sufficient oversight, they could pose systemic risks that endanger U.S. global financial stability. And these vulnerabilities could be exploited and obscured by bad actors, and as other cryptocurrencies, exchanges, and wallets have been in the past. Indeed, regulators around the globe have already expressed similar concerns, illustrating the need for robust oversight. Now, some of these corporations that will be running the master nodes of Libra, Facebook coin, will probably have a 99.999% uptime, the industry standard, if you will. But what happens if this goes down? Is this as strong as other cryptocurrencies? And where are the hacks going to come from? We all know this is going to be the case. Where are they going to come from? Phishing links on Facebook or any other websites that you click on that you might thought were Amazon, or you might thought were this, that, or the other thing, turn out to be just taking all of your Libra coins. So there are a lot of security implications for Facebook coin. These are essentially new developers, and they will be run by huge corporations, which typically have an actually good security policy. However, we've seen big hacks in the past with these at the same time, with MasterCard and Visa and stuff losing, millions of customers' data. What happens if you lose your data and you just happen to get sweeping hacked from MasterCard or Visa or these other random corporations? There are a lot of security risks with Libra coin, in my opinion. There's billions of Facebook users, and this will probably instantly be bigger than Bitcoin. And I'm not praising Libra coin, but let's just be real here. With the amount of people that use Facebook is overwhelmingly higher than the people that actually use Bitcoin. And of course, Bitcoin is better, but this is going to introduce a lot of people into cryptocurrency, and also a lot of exchanges will sell this as well. So you'll be able to put the Libra coin on an exchange and then get Bitcoin for it. So in a lot of ways, this is a good thing. In a lot of ways, this is a really bad thing. It's just the corporatization of cryptocurrency. And I spoke about this months and months ago, before even Facebook coin was not even going to be a thing. I started saying, okay, well, corporations are starting to see the gigantic gains of cryptocurrencies. They're starting to see the good trading opportunities. The fact that Long Island Iced Tea Company decides to name themselves Long Island Blockchain, and their stock goes up 500%. Now, when you see that, you're going to follow. When Facebook coin makes billions of dollars from this, even though it's a stable coin and they shouldn't, I don't understand. It makes no sense, and they're going to make interest, and all the other corporations are going to follow. There's going to be like Samsung coin and Nike coin. Oh, just collect as many Kellogg's Cornflakes coin, General Mills coins out of every box that you can, and maybe we'll send you a free box of cereal. I don't know. Everything is going to get into this guise of a coin. And again, just to reiterate what I've already reiterated, this can already be done. This has already been done. These digital tokens that aren't necessarily a cryptocurrency, coupons, internet codes for $5 off or for a free item or something like that. These are just tokens. These are just codes essentially. And while Libra coin is of course way more complicated than that, and it's going to be this complicated use case, and all these corporations are going to allow it as a use case to buy their products, which can make things easier. But either way, you're going to have to buy into Libra coin in the first place with your debit card or something, or get it somehow, which in that case, why not have just used a debit card on Amazon's website or Uber or something like that? But I digress on that. There are a lot of issues with this, and this is actually the moratorium. Well, the order that was sent for a moratorium. We write to request that Facebook and its partners immediately agree to a moratorium on any movement forward on Libra, its proposed cryptocurrency in Calibra, its proposed digital wallet. It appears these products may lend themselves to an entirely new global financial system, which we went over. On June 18th, 2019, Facebook announced its plans to develop a new crypto called Libra, blah, blah, blah. And while Facebook has published a white paper on these projects, the scant information provided the intent, roles, potential use, security, and it goes out to these such and such individuals. So, so far, the government not liking this, and for once, I'm going to be on their side and not blame them at all, because Facebook has been in the heat for quite a while for Cambridge Analytica and just massively selling people's data. Also, Facebook did try a sort of a cryptocurrency a while ago. I think it was in like 2006 or 7. It was actually many years ago. It was maybe 2009, and it was essentially like Zuck Bucks that you could use on their games. That you could essentially buy it as a as like a prepaid amount, almost like V-Bucks on Fortnite or something like that. And then you could buy things in the games, and it didn't really work out so good, and it sort of died off. And now they're trying it again, except with a huge corporatization. So again, corporations just guising a product or a service that they're already using or already could implement or have implemented in the guise of a coin. All you have to do is slap coin or slap crypto on the end of it, and boom, you have a lot of sales and you have a lot of interest in it. So moving on to the next article here, Latin America's biggest investment bank to sell $1 billion in STOs using Tezos, interestingly enough. So Tezos in the light lately. Latin America's biggest investment bank, and I think it's they're the biggest standalone bank. So I don't think it's actually Latin America's biggest bank, but their standalone bank, whatever that means, plans to shift its security token offerings, STOs, a pipeline over $1 billion in sales onto the Tezos blockchain. The announcement appeared in a press release published on Tezos Foundation website on July 3rd. The new initiative is a collaboration between BTG Pactual and Dubai-based asset manager Dolma Capital, who plan to tokenize a number of traditional assets using the Tezos blockchain and smart contract platform. Meanwhile, BTG Pactual intends to boost its expertise in tokenization, which includes the ongoing RBZ STO based on the Ethereum blockchain. So Tezos probably a little bit pumpy right now, I would suspect from this news. How long that's going to last, I'm not sure if I would FOMO in on that. Watch me be totally wrong on that, because crypto, you know what I mean? Might as well just flip a quarter. Just flip a quarter for every action you make. Don't actually do that, but you get what I'm saying. So Tim Draper, an early Tezos investor and known Bitcoin bull, encouraged BTG Pactual and Dolma Capital new initiative in the press release, expressing confidence that Tezos has a strong use case for security tokens. So Tezos in the news, $1 billion in sales using those. So again, banks really actually started to get in on the crypto world. JPM coin, even XRP is doing pretty well in terms of gathering more banks on their platform, and now Tezos in on the action So moving on here, Bitcoin rally crushes alt season. Hope small cap coins down 54%. So we have not seen that altcoin season yet. Now, some altcoins have gone pretty crazy. I made a video on Energy Coin, and I made that video when it was about $3.10. And I think it got up to just about $10. I think it's sitting around 8, something like that right now. So, my portfolio on energy is about threefold. So I'm happy with that. I hope some people bought in because of that video. And if you didn't, I don't really blame you because after all, it's just somebody's voice on the internet. But energy doing really, really well. Some cryptos, some altcoins, of course, doing really well. But interestingly, some coins not doing as well as we would think that they would be during this bull run. Ethereum not up that much. Litecoin didn't really continue its rally either, although I still believe $200 to $300. Now, $300 is a bit of a stretch by the end of the year, but $200 is really not too crazy. It really only needs to go up $70 or $80, which is a lot for Litecoin, nearly double what it's at now. But I still think that's going to be a possibility, especially as we get closer to the August halvening of Litecoin, which will, produce some more news articles, some more positive sentiment out there in the world. Not that I think the halvening will inherently increase the price immediately, but the hype will. So published by digital asset firm Bletchley, which is just the weirdest name ever. You guys might want to work on that. A variety of indices put some altcoin losses at over half since April this year. The trend has remained intact in recent weeks despite volatility in the Bitcoin price. At press time, it was smaller cap tokens which showed the worst performance, trading 54% down in the past 3 months. Now, some of the top altcoins not doing so bad, but this is referring to some of the lower cap coins. And it kind of makes sense. I think the big year, maybe even year and a half long bear run, which is actually the longest bear run in crypto history so far, which isn't very long history, by the way, but it was the longest. Now, I don't know exactly how long, but I know we passed the longest bear run. I think it was back in February or March when the news articles came out about that. So that shook some of the useless coins, some of the coins that developers, let's just be real, probably made a coin very fast just to make some money so that it would pump and then they could sell it, or they could make money with their ICO and then basically just not do much afterwards. Again, I like to make an analogy, if you will, a comparison of ICOs to going and getting a Mick job. Like, imagine going to McDonald's and your yearly salary is $24,000 a year, $20,000 a year, whatever it is, right? Going in and they say, hey, you're hired. And you're like, great. And they're like, can you start working tomorrow? And you're like, yes, I sure can. And they're like, okay, here's your check for $24,000. Do you come in the next day? Right? And that check isn't going to bounce, right? You got the money. They're like, here's, let's put it a different way. Here's your direct deposit for $24,000 for the year. Do you come in the next day? I think that's sort of one of the perfect examples to ICOs. They already received $10 million. Do they continue working on the coin? Now, a lot did, don't get me wrong, but some of them were probably just like, hey, let's just push this crappy product out and just, I don't know, just kind of forget about it. We got $10 billion, right? It just, I don't know, ICOs, I think there's a lot of good things about ICOs. Sure, there's a lot of companies that need startup capital, and things like that to make a really good product. But I think that those are few and far between when it comes to the vast majority that's like, hey, we got $10 billion. Should we move to Panama now? Yes, I think we should. It doesn't make much sense. So overall, Bletchley notes the top 70 altcoins selected according to meeting various criteria has gone from 0.048 BTC to 0.039 BTC since April 1st, a shift of 18.75%. And we are in a very bullish run, mostly for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, is the dominance is around 63 to 64%, meaning it has just objectively the majority of the market cap, which it sort of always does, but this is getting pretty high at the moment, as there's a lot more hype for Bitcoin right now than just about anything else. as, you know, the institutional investment that's sort of a fairy tale, that are more and more people coming in, more and more people talking about it, backed futures, and just all these new things coming along, you know, Ameritrade and eToro and stuff like that, picking up cryptos and them gathering steam. But yeah, for the most part, Bitcoin doing really, really well right now. And I think the altcoin boom will come a little bit later when, something will start to pump a little bit more, and things will start to pump a little bit more and more, and they'll gather more and more intensity. And then people will start taking out of Bitcoin to get those slightly better gains of altcoins. But apparently not right now. So moving on here, Chinese media is all praises for Bitcoin, and this is really a good thing. If you guys don't remember, if you haven't been in crypto for a very long time, it was just a couple years ago in September, or maybe it was October, I think September 2017, things were going great with Bitcoin. We were at $4,900 Bitcoin. Everybody was excited for the very first time that it would ever reach $5,000. And all of a sudden, news articles come out, mainland China bans crypto exchanges. And over the course of a couple weeks, we went from just about 5,000, we'll call it 5,000, let's round, to $3,200. I remember watching that. I was like, wow, this is a crazy loss. And so that is nearly 50% dump in the price of Bitcoin because of China alone, because of bad news. And bad news in the investment world is, of course, bad news, and it's always going to lead to lower prices. But if China, if they start accepting Bitcoin more and more, and if the exchanges ever come back to China, we will, I think, experience probably one of the biggest, easily the biggest bull run we have ever seen. 20,000, that's going to be a joke. We're going to hit 25, 30,000 easy if Chinese exchanges come back. Now, a lot of Chinese still buy crypto, still trade crypto, still use crypto, but it was just the actual Chinese in mainland China that had to remove it, that had to go. Binance was one of them, and they moved to Malta. So Xinhua news agency, a government-run media outlet in China, has published a report showing the increased prominence of Bitcoin as a haven asset. The market study identified tensions between the U.S. and China, as well as monetary policy decisions from central banks around the world, as reasons for investors pivoting towards the top-ranked cryptocurrency. As previously reported by Bitcoin, several industry commentators like Travis Kling of Ikagai Assets Management and Max Kaiser, I gotta do the voice, have long espoused the view of Bitcoin being a hedge against irresponsible monetary policies. So Sina Finance, one of China's largest news providers, just added Bitcoin and cryptocurrency support to its app. Good stuff. Elsewhere in China, another news agency, this time Sina Finance, the leading financial publication of the country, has added crypto support to its app. According to CN Ledger, reputable source for crypto blockchain news out of China, which is always a questionable thing coming out of China for some reason. The platform has included cryptocurrency checkers for Bitcoin, XRP, Ether, among others, probably Litecoin, etc. The crypto support added by Sino Finance also includes candlestick charts of the latest news, despite the ban on trading and initial coin offerings. Cryptocurrency appears to still be a popular topic in the country, with rising trends on Baidu. Bitcoin's status as a hedge against uncertainty also gains further significance when compared with the performance of mainstream assets, haven assets like gold, and currencies like the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen. So, essentially a calm before the storm. If China ever really decides to go, okay, we kind of made a mistake with the exchanges, we could be making a lot of tax money, or we could be getting a chunk of that change, with taxes or fees or something like that, and we bring them back. Again, there's no doubt about it. It will be the biggest crypto explosion we have ever seen. Considering from 5,000 to 3,200 is a very significant amount. Now that doesn't seem too much now, 1,800, but 1,800 out of $5,000 is just $700 short of 50%. So we're talking about a 40% dump or so. I'm not going to do the math in my head right off the bat here. I don't feel like going for 30 seconds straight, but let's call it 40%. I know I'm a genius. 40%. I just called it right out. We're just out of thin air. Is pretty incredible. That is a huge chunk, just because they were banned, and it created a lot of FUD. It created a lot of uncertainty. It scared a lot of people. So now, of course, Chinese media isn't going to bring those exchanges back, but sooner or later, I think that's going to happen. I think eventually they're going to go, okay, like this is too big. We're missing out on money, fees, taxes, whatever from these exchanges. Let's bring them back. So, moving on here, Ripple says more than 20 financial institutions now using XRP-based XRapid. So, in a new interview with Global Trade Review, Delatine highlights the use case for XRapid and the impact it could have on the cross-border remittances, especially in countries where it's lower and more expensive to move capital. So, XRapid went live last October. So it's a very new product, but we have more than 20 financial institutions using it, and more to come. So when talking with banks, we still have to ensure that they understand that using this product is not keeping around XRP on their balance sheet. That's very important for the banks to understand, because they would otherwise have to report that to the regulators. So there is still a lot of education, but what is apparent with the regional banks and also the payment service providers is that they're hungry for change and having a competitive edge. It's really the driver, being able to source on-demand liquidity and providing a real-time experience in terms of cross-border payments. For some difficult corridors, for instance, the Mexican peso, the Philippine peso, a transaction currently takes 3 to 4 days because the underlying process is still archaic. And yeah, I agree. Why is it so archaic? Why still does it take 6-7 days to transfer money to Coinbase, or to transfer money from somebody's bank account to another without a wire transfer, of course? Or some people are reporting faster transactions than ever, even just with the monetary system. But it's really just digital. All they do, like in your account, you don't have it's not like you have a drawer with a bunch of money in it, like a safe deposit box, and it's like, okay, you have $5,000 in your bank account. Would you like to send 1,000 of it? And they pull out $1,000 and stick it in a mailbox and send it to somebody across the road. No, all they do is just remove your credits, and like, okay, you now have 4,000 credits. We have removed 1,000 credits and put 1,000 credits into your blah 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 bank account. And why does it take that long to even get to the bank account? It's just digital, in the way that I could send you a text and you get it immediately. It's just digital. So again, I get it. I don't understand the banking system as well as I probably should. But again, it's just all digital. So it's about time that this sort of thing starts to happen. So good news for Ripple, as more and more institutions are finally starting to come into to XRP, because XRP has been around for a very long time. And their progress is, quite frankly, incredibly slow, as they have been around for a very long time. In fact, we can just go to CoinMarketCap here. Just go to the all-time, and you can see that it started reporting XRP in August 2013, so it was probably around for a little while before that as well, and they are just now getting around to really start piling on the banks and the institutions onto Ripple. So their growth is incredibly slow, and all of this was essentially just for nothing. I mean, like, really, nobody was truly using XRP in 2017. There wasn't really any institutions truly using it. It just blew up because of the market, and now we're starting to see some somewhat more organic growth lately, but it's still stuck at that 40-cent mark. But either way, one more article here. Kraken CEO talks on huge influx of fiat currency flooding into crypto. The CEO of Kraken, Jesse Powell, is dismissing uncertainty, fear, and doubt on whether the stablecoin firm Tether is printing US dollars, or USDT, to boost the price of Bitcoin. Powell has spoken in a new interview with the TD Ameritrade network, where he said that cryptocurrency exchange is seeing huge amounts of fiat currency coming in this year, which is related to the ever-increasing supply of Tether. He said, I don't have inside knowledge of what's happening at Tether, but I can tell you that historically, when you've seen growth in the supply of Tether, we've seen growth in the supply of US dollars coming into Kraken, and other exchanges would report the same. So I think what you're seeing here in Tether is just a very transparent reflection of what is happening at the banking system level with all exchanges. When new Tether is being printed 99% of the time, except for that 1% of the time, right? Of the time, tons of US dollars are coming into the exchanges as well. It's not just being represented as Tether on the blockchain. Recently, we've had massive inflows of fiat currency. So I believe that Tether prints are a result of new fiat currency coming in. I think Tether is actually a small part of the total fiat supply among all of the exchanges, so I don't think Tether alone is doing it, and I think that Tether that's being printed is mostly reflective of actual US dollars coming into the system. So I think if you could just look at it as new dollars coming in, that's what's driving up the price. It's new users coming in. There are days when you see the price going up 10% a day. You could bet all the exchanges are onboarding 50 to 100,000 new users a day. That is what is driving up the price. It's the huge retail demand and all the media attention. It's not Tether. So there's, another Tether controversy, essentially, that, Tether, because you could always see the big imprint of Tether and the big increase of Bitcoin. But at the same time, you could essentially explain that as, well, there's a lot of people putting money on exchanges and then buying Tether. And of course, they have to print more Tether if you're putting more money into the exchanges, if you're putting this into the exchange and then exchanging for Bitcoin, etc. Or maybe not so much if you're exchanging, but new fiat money coming in. And, I sort of have to agree a little bit. I still think Tether is a little bit shady. I still think there's a lot of things going on there that likely a lot of people don't know. But for sure, there are, he says, 50,000 to 100,000 new users a day on exchanges. It really is starting to explode again. But just remember, the bull run last time lasted, honestly, just a few weeks. If you look at Bitcoin, we could just go back and take a look at Bitcoin on CoinMarketCap here. And how long did this... It depends on where you actually want to start with the bull run. Now, that is sort of an interesting... that is really subjective. Should we start it here where it started at 1,000 and then started to go up? Should you start it just like wherever you want to fit your narrative? But I think what we can most people can agree on is that the biggest explosion happened within, honestly, a few weeks, maybe a month at that. You could see maybe at 5,000, 6,000 here. November 10th or so, and then to December 17th, 18th was over. So in a little over a month, depending on how you look at the bull run, you could even argue that it kind of started right about here, maybe November 20th at 8,000, where it just every single day it went up by literally $400 or $500 and stayed there. So again, a month, that's all it was. So if you see these explosion in price and we go up $10,000, $20,000 for Bitcoin, just make sure you're prepared this time around. If you didn't get to sell last time, make sure you're prepared this time, because it's not going to last forever. If it's hyperbolic, if it's a straight wall like this, it is going to dump eventually, and it's going to dump really hard, which is going to scare a lot of people, and we're going to go back down again. Now, what we're going to go back down this time, if we go to 30,000, will it only go down to 10,000 this time, or 8,000 instead of 3,000? Nobody knows, and nobody's going to be able to tell you that accurately without just straight up guessing and then looking like they knew at the end, because they were like, hey, look, I was right, and you're like, well, you kind of guessed. So but that's all I have with CoinMarketCap. 331 billion market cap, 63% Bitcoin dominance. So again, Bitcoin just holding strong, while everything else just not doing all that well. Still a Litecoin at 123. Ethereum still not back at $300 again. It was for a few days there, but that's about it. So now moving on to the community post that I made. And I appreciate your guys' feedback on this. I actually got quite a bit of votes. There's 120 votes on there. So I really appreciate the feedback. And a lot of you commented too, and so this was great. I really appreciate this, and it basically reads: should this channel be rebranded to Crypto News, since it seems more relevant, easier to say, and remember, in the initial crypto in the name catches the eye better. It may result in a bigger community, or maybe confusion for existing subscribers. Hey, who am I subscribed to? Like, what is this Crypto News? I don't know what this is. And then you click on you. Oh, okay. So what do you think? So it was yes. 26% of you voted yes. 44% of you voted no. 19% of you voted yes, but keep the existing channel thumbnail, which would be my picture here, and the banner in the back. But yes, so 11% of you voted yes, but also changed the thumbnail and banner. So now my thoughts behind this, let me explain this a little bit, because MrSotko is a little bit hard to say for a lot of people. Now, I stream on Twitch a lot. And whenever I'm done on Twitch, I usually like to raid somebody or host somebody. Now, what that means for anybody that doesn't stream or doesn't care about Twitch is that, like, if I have 10, 20, 30 viewers, when I'm done streaming, instead of just closing the stream and being done with it, I could take those viewers and send them somewhere else, to a friend or somebody who might be streaming the same content or something very interesting, and I can just send them all to another person, and they go, wow, awesome, thanks for sending me 30 people, awesome, I'll get you back sometime. So it's kind of a community thing, and it's real fun to do. And when I do, they never know how to say my name. Like 10% of the time they say it correctly. They're like, oh, MrSotko, thanks. Or they say MrSotko, and they're like having trouble reading it. So that really gives me an idea of how many people, see the name and they have no idea how to pronounce it. Because admittedly, MrSotko, it should be like an A and a W in there, but it's just not. And I've had a lot of people, this happens all the time. Now on YouTube here, it's a capital S, but on a lot of platforms, it's just, lowercase the whole thing. So you don't know if it's Mrs. Otko or MrSotko. So I've had numerous people be like, I don't know if that's Mrs. Otko or Mr., but thanks for the host, or something like that. So my idea was crypto news really fits the channel really well because that's what it is most of the time. Now, if I change the name, nothing else would change about the channel. Not my intro. It'd still be, all right, MrSotko. All the news would be the same. The tutorials, the mining, everything, literally everything about the channel would be the same except for the name. It would be crypto news. And a lot of people said, that's really boring. That's really lame. It's a really lame name. But my thought with it was that it really catches the eye better because a lot of people have crypto in their name on YouTube, like crypto blah blah blah, crypto this, crypto that, crypto Nick, all kinds of things, except without the BitConnect. And those people do really well. Apparently, it's really clear those people actually do really much better than me. And we produce a lot of the times the same exact content. I will see other crypto YouTubers producing the same content. Like we talk about the news, we have discussions and things like that, producing the same content, but they have crypto, something in the name. And now I have crypto in my name, but it's not first. And with YouTube, there is this psychological thing with YouTube, and like catchy thumbnails, people click on the thumbnail, people see thumbnails first and then the name. And it's really not necessarily their fault. If you just look at the suggested videos, if you're watching a video now, look at the suggested videos on the right side. Do you see the name first or do you see the thumbnail first? Most of the time you see the thumbnail first because the name is either on the top or on the side of it, and you see that thumbnail, that catchy thumbnail first. So that's one thing about YouTubing. Another thing is having a really catchy name, and a lot of people just can't pronounce the name. But you guys seem to overwhelmingly say, no, keep the name. So for now, I'll keep the name, but I am going to maybe reconsider it in the future. But I don't mean to disappoint anybody. If I do change it, it's not like me changing my identity. Again, the channel will be exactly the same. It will be the same content, the same news, coming the same way I do things, except just crypto news, which I think will be much more catchier. I think we'll gain a lot more subscribers because there is sort of this balance between identity and growing your channel. And I very much like my MrSotko identity. I am the only one I've ever known that has that name. It means a lot to me. I've used it since I was probably 15 years old on the internet. So, it is a hyper unique on the internet. I've never seen anybody else with the name. I thank you guys for the feedback. So for now, I will just leave it as it is. And I appreciate you all and all your, and you guys are still free to vote. I don't think it ever ends, so you could just endlessly essentially vote if you haven't already. So I appreciate that. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. That helps YouTubers out a lot when you just that like button. Also, sharing is probably the best thing you can do for me. Sharing, share it on Reddit or Discords or social media, wherever, and then hundreds more people watch it, and then a couple share it from there, and then hundreds more people watch it. So it's sort of like a chain system. It's like a Merkle tree. I think maybe I used that reference wrong. Like one person shares it, and then two people share it, three people, and so on. But that's one of the best things you can do for the channel, without having to really do much effort. And my social media is in the description below. I'll also be live streaming here sometime soon. I need to get up to my office. I need to, unpack my house and things like that. So I'm still really, really busy during the day, so I won't be able to do that yet. But follow me on DLive and Twitch if you want to catch me live. I will probably stop live streaming on YouTube if it is not crypto content. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.